What if I told you that one of the most powerful, rejuvenating, and scientifically backed tools for rediscovering your vitality, sharpening your mind, and deepening your sense of self after the age of 60 is something you've likely been taught your whole life to ignore or even feel ashamed of? What if this key to unlocking a more vibrant you wasn't a new supplement from the health food store, a grueling exercise regimen, or an expensive cosmetic procedure, but something innate, private, and entirely within your own control? It might sound like a late-night television promise, but as a gynecologist who has dedicated over 30 years to the health of women, particularly those navigating their postmenopausal years, I can assure you it is a profound medical and emotional truth. Hello, I'm Dr. Rachel Bennett, and from my practice here in Scottsdale, Arizona, I've had the privilege of sitting with thousands of women who, on the surface, seem to have it all figured out. They've raised families, built careers, and contributed to their communities. Yet, behind the closed doors of the examination room, a common and heartbreaking theme emerges: a feeling of disconnect, of fading vitality, of looking in the mirror and not recognizing the vibrant woman who used to be there. They speak of a life that has become grayscale. So many of them have accepted the pervasive and damaging myth that as a woman ages, her sensuality and capacity for pleasure simply expire, like a carton of milk left too long in the fridge. This couldn't be further from the truth. The desire for touch, for connection, and for pleasure is a fundamental human need that does not have an expiration date. Today, we're going to dismantle that myth piece by piece. I'm going to share with you 3 foundational secrets, not just medical advice, but holistic strategies that have helped my patients, women just like you, reclaim their bodies, reignite their confidence, and step back into a life lived in brilliant color. We will explore how to first reclaim your mind from a lifetime of conditioning, then rediscover the new landscape of your physical body with kindness and curiosity, and finally, how to ritualize pleasure as a cornerstone of your overall health and well-being. This is not about being frivolous. This is about claiming your birthright to a joyful, vital, and complete life. The first and most formidable barrier we must dismantle is not physical. It's the 6 inches between our ears. For so many women I see, the primary obstacle to embracing self-pleasure is a lifetime of accumulated shame, guilt, and societal messaging. They grew up in an era where this topic was utterly taboo, where nice girls didn't, and where a woman's sexuality was defined almost exclusively by her service to a partner. The very idea of touching one's own body for pleasure was branded as dirty, selfish, or something to be hidden in the deepest recesses of one's private life. This isn't just an old-fashioned idea. It's a deeply embedded psychological script that continues to run in the background, dictating our feelings and behaviors even decades later. The old way of thinking, or rather not thinking, about this topic is simply insufficient because it denies a fundamental aspect of your humanity and your health. Ignoring your own capacity for pleasure is like refusing to stretch a sore muscle. The tension only builds, leading to a profound sense of disconnection from the very vessel that carries you through life. The importance of rewriting this internal script cannot be overstated. When you carry shame about your body and its natural desires, you are in a low-grade, constant state of stress. This releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which over time can contribute to high blood pressure, poor sleep, and a weakened immune system. Conversely, embracing your sexuality and allowing yourself the grace of self-pleasure triggers the release of a powerful cascade of beneficial neurochemicals. Oxytocin, often called the love hormone, fosters feelings of connection and calm. Endorphins act as the body's natural painkillers and mood elevators. Dopamine, the reward chemical, enhances motivation and focus. Reclaiming this part of yourself is not an act of indulgence. It is an act of profound self-care and preventative medicine. It is about telling yourself, perhaps for the first time, that your pleasure is valid, your body is good, and you are worthy of feeling joy on your own terms. So, how do we begin this mental rewiring? The solution is a series of gentle but deliberate actions. First, I want you to perform a simple but powerful exercise. Write yourself a permission slip. Take a piece of paper and write, I, your name, give myself permission to explore my body with curiosity and kindness. I give myself permission to learn what brings me pleasure and to embrace it without shame or guilt. My body is my own, and its capacity for joy is a gift. Sign it and put it somewhere private where you can see it, like the inside of your journal or a drawer in your nightstand. This act of physically writing it down makes the intention concrete. Second, begin practicing mindful self-talk. When a negative thought arises, this is wrong, I'm too old for this, what would my children think? Gently acknowledge it without judgment, and then replace it with a positive affirmation. This is a natural and healthy part of my well-being. My age has gifted me the wisdom to know what I want. My private life is my own. Finally, seek out education as a form of liberation. Read books by respected experts like Dr. Jen Gunter, or visit reputable websites like that of the North American Menopause Society, NAMS, or even the health sections of AARP. Understanding the beautiful, complex mechanics of your own anatomy is incredibly empowering and demystifies the entire experience. I remember a patient, let's call her Carol, a 68-year-old widow from Phoenix. She told me she felt like her body was a house she no longer lived in. Her journey back to herself didn't start with a physical act, but with the permission slip. She said that simple piece of paper felt like a key unlocking a door that had been sealed shut for decades. It was the first, most crucial step. I want to take a moment and check in with you. How does this first point land with you? Is that inner critic, that voice of shame we talked about, something you've been battling in silence? It's more common than you could ever imagine. If you found this first secret about reclaiming your mind to be enlightening and helpful, I would be so grateful if you would let me know by typing a 1 inch in the comments section below. If this didn't quite resonate or you feel there's something missing, please type a 0. Your feedback is incredibly valuable and helps me tailor these discussions to better serve you. Now that we have begun the essential work of clearing the mental and emotional hurdles, let's talk about the elephant in the room, our beautiful, changing bodies. The old approach, and one that causes immense frustration, is to expect your body at 65 to respond in the exact same way it did at 25 or 35. This is not only unrealistic, it's a recipe for disappointment that can lead women to give up entirely. After menopause, the drop in estrogen levels leads to very real physiological changes. The vaginal tissues can become thinner, less elastic, and drier, a condition called the genitourinary syndrome of menopause, GSM, or more simply, vaginal atrophy. Blood flow to the pelvic region may decrease, which can affect arousal and the intensity of orgasm. Joints may be stiffer due to arthritis, making certain movements less comfortable. Trying to force a response using the same old methods that worked decades ago is like trying to navigate a new city with an old, outdated map. You will likely end up feeling lost, frustrated, and believing the destination is simply unreachable. Understanding and adapting to your body's new landscape is absolutely critical. This is not a concession of defeat. It is an act of profound wisdom and self-compassion. When you work with your body instead of fighting against it, you open up a world of new possibilities for pleasure. The importance lies in preventing a painful negative feedback loop. If an attempt at self-pleasure is uncomfortable or even painful due to dryness, the brain begins to associate intimacy with pain, leading to avoidance, which in turn leads to less blood flow and more atrophy, making the next attempt even more difficult. Breaking this cycle is paramount, not just for your sexual health, but for your urological health as well, as these changes can also impact bladder function. Honoring your body as it is today allows you to find joy in the present moment, rather than mourning a past reality. It fosters a renewed sense of partnership with your body, a feeling of being on the same team. The solution here is practical, tangible, and wonderfully effective. You must update your toolkit and your map. First and foremost, lubrication is no longer an optional extra. It is a non-negotiable essential. Think of it not as a sign of dysfunction, but as a luxurious comfort, like using lotion on dry hands. I recommend my patients have a high-quality, water-based or silicone-based lubricant on their nightstand. Water-based is easy to clean up, while silicone-based lasts longer. Look for products that are free of parabens, glycerin, and fragrances, which can be irritating. Second, you must expand your erogenous map. While penetrative pleasure might have been a focus in the past, now is the time to rediscover the power of the clitoris, which remains the epicenter of female pleasure throughout life. Furthermore, explore other areas of your body that have become more sensitive with age: the skin of the inner thighs, the nape of the neck, the breasts, even the scalp and the arches of your feet. The goal is to cultivate full-body sensuality. Third, I encourage you to view personal massagers or vibrators not as taboo toys, but as valuable wellness tools. They are incredibly efficient at increasing blood flow to the pelvic region, which helps to nourish the tissues and can make arousal easier and orgasms more powerful. For women with arthritis in their hands, a wand-style vibrator can be much easier to hold and maneuver than using fingers alone, allowing for pleasure without joint pain. A patient of mine, Susan, a 72-year-old retired nurse from San Diego, was an avid gardener, but found that her arthritis made intimate touch difficult and painful for her hands. She felt clumsy and defeated. We talked about ergonomic vibrators, and she found a small, quiet one that was about 7 inches long and fit perfectly in her palm. She called it her little Hummer and told me with a twinkle in her eye that it had done more for her mood and vitality than any of her other therapies. Let's pause here again. Are these physical changes something you've been navigating, perhaps feeling a bit alone in the process? The practicalities of dryness or joint pain can feel very unsexy to talk about, but they are a shared reality for millions of women. If these practical tips and product suggestions are helpful for you, please let me know with a 1 in the comments. If you feel this section wasn't what you needed, or you have more questions, a 0 will let me know to focus on different aspects in the future. I do read every single comment. We have now addressed the mind and the body, but the third secret is what integrates them into a truly transformative practice. This secret is about elevating self-pleasure from a hurried, occasional act into a deliberate and cherished ritual. The old way is to treat it as something to be squeezed in, perhaps in the dark, with a lingering sense of guilt and rushing to finish before someone might notice. This approach reinforces the idea that it is a guilty pleasure rather than a foundational pillar of your well-being. It compartmentalizes your sensuality, keeping it separate from the rest of your respectable life. This fragmentation is a disservice to your whole self, because the benefits of this act are meant to ripple out into every other corner of your existence. When it's treated as a hidden, rushed event, you miss out on the profound psychological and physiological after effects that can enhance your entire quality of life. The importance of ritualizing your pleasure is that it reframes the entire experience as a sacred act of self-love and health care. When you create a deliberate practice around it, you are sending a powerful message to your subconscious mind. I am worthy of this time. I am worthy of this pleasure. My health is multifaceted, and this is part of it. The science backs this up wholeheartedly. The flood of endorphins released during orgasm are potent natural pain relievers, capable of easing chronic pain from conditions like arthritis or fibromyalgia. The release of oxytocin and prolactin creates a deep sense of relaxation and contentment, which is why so many women find it easier to fall into a deep, restorative sleep after an orgasm. Regularly engaging in this practice can help lower blood pressure, reduce anxiety, and foster a more positive outlook on life. By creating a ritual, you are consciously harnessing these benefits, moving from a passive recipient to an active architect of your own well-being. It becomes as integral to your routine as taking your daily walk, drinking enough water, or eating a healthy meal. So, how do you create this ritual? The solution is to intentionally engage your senses and dedicate the time. First, schedule a date with yourself. Put it in your calendar just as you would a doctor's appointment or a lunch with a dear friend. This act of scheduling legitimizes it and protects the time from other obligations. Maybe it's Sunday evening or Wednesday afternoon, whenever you know you will have an hour of uninterrupted privacy. Second, create a sensory sanctuary. This is about consciously crafting an environment that feels safe, comfortable, and luxurious. Dim the lights and use a soft lamp or candlelight. The new flameless candles are wonderful and safe. Play music that makes you feel relaxed and sensual. It could be classical, smooth jazz, or even the sounds of nature. Engage your sense of smell with a scented candle, an essential oil diffuser with lavender or ylang ylang, or simply your favorite body lotion. Make sure your bed has clean, soft sheets. The goal is to signal to your brain that this time is special and separate from the mundane. Third, and perhaps most importantly, focus on the afterglow. Once you have experienced your release, do not just jump up and get on with your day. Linger. Lie in your bed for 5 or 10 minutes and just feel the warm, pleasant sensations pulsing through your body. This is a form of mindfulness, of being fully present. You might even keep a journal nearby to write down any feelings or thoughts that arise. A patient of mine, Eleanor, a 75-year-old retired teacher from Chicago, struggled terribly with insomnia. She was taking prescription medication that left her groggy. I suggested she try creating a pre-sleep pleasure ritual twice a week. She set up her sanctuary with soft music and a lavender-scented pillow spray. She told me that the combination of the orgasm and the 10 minutes of quiet mindfulness afterward was more effective than any pill she had ever taken. She was finally sleeping through the night and waking up refreshed. This brings us to the end of our 3 secrets. Have you ever considered that pleasure could be a deliberate part of your healthcare routine, like a prescription for vitality? If this idea of ritualizing self-care is a powerful new concept for you, I'd love to see a 1 in the comments. If it feels a bit too out there or impractical, let me know with a 0. Your honesty is what makes this community strong. Today, we have journeyed through what I truly believe are the 3 most vital secrets to reclaiming your vitality and confidence after 60. We started by giving ourselves permission, dismantling the decades of shame and guilt that have held us captive, and rewriting the script in our minds to one of self-acceptance and worthiness. Then we turned to our physical selves, learning not to fight against the natural changes of age, but to adapt with wisdom and grace, employing tools like lubricants and personal massagers to work with our bodies to find new paths to pleasure. And finally, we learned to elevate this profound act of self-love from a hidden secret into a sacred ritual, a cornerstone of our holistic health that can improve our sleep, reduce our pain, and flood our bodies with the chemistry of joy. Each of these steps is a radical act of self-advocacy in a world that too often tells women our time for pleasure is over. My final advice to you is this: be patient and endlessly compassionate with yourself. This is not a race or a performance. It is a gentle, personal journey of rediscovery. Your story is not over. Your body is not a relic to be put on a shelf. It is a living, breathing library of your life's experiences, and it holds the capacity for immense wisdom, strength, and yes, pleasure, right now, in this very moment. The greatest life lesson that this journey of sexual rediscovery teaches us is one of profound self-love. When you learn to listen to, honor, and pleasurably care for your own body, that compassion and confidence radiate outward into every other facet of your life. You walk taller, you speak with more conviction, you engage with the world more fully, not as someone who is fading away, but as a woman who is fully and vibrantly alive. I want to create a community of support right here. So, my call to action for you today is to share one thing in the comments below that resonated most with you. Was it the idea of the permission slip, the practical advice about lubricants, or the concept of creating a ritual? Your story and your insights could be the very thing someone else needs to read today to start their own journey. If this conversation has touched you, please consider sharing this with a friend, a sister, or any woman in your life who deserves to hear this message of empowerment. And of course, to ensure you don't miss out on more honest, expert conversations about thriving in your golden years, I invite you to subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell. This is Dr. Rachel Bennett, reminding you that it is never, ever too late to feel joyfully and completely alive. Be well and be exceptionally good to yourselves.